This video is going to be about television shows that I enjoy or have enjoyed watching. I'm not really going to explain them very much, but I'll just give you a quick run through of the ones that I watch. How It's Made is really good. Modern Marvels is also really good. Breaking Bad, really like that one. I really like Better Call Saul. Star Trek, the original animated series, The Next Generation, and Picard, also really good. I didn't finish the third season of Picard, but I enjoyed the rest of that series. Molto Mario is really good. That stars Mario Batali. Good cooking show there. Um, Simply Ming is also very good. Another good cooking show. And Nick Stellino and Jack Pan are also good chefs, but I don't know what the name of their shows are, but they're good to watch on YouTube also. Mythbusters, another big one for me. That's definitely up there in my top, probably three. Mythbusters Junior is also good too. Savage Build is also really good. White Rabbit Project. If you don't know about that one, that stars um, not the two main two main Mythbusters, Jamie Hyneman and Adam Savage, but the three other Mythbusters. Tori Belleci, Grant Imahara, who unfortunately passed away, and then uh, trying to remember the female's name there. Grant Imahara, and then Tori Belleci, and then what the heck is the female's name? I can't remember her name, but I will check that now. Um, Hold on one second. But that's a really good one. This is a unique one. This explores different aspects of history, and what they do is they rank these different events in history according to some sort of criteria. So one of the episodes which I remember, oh, Carrie Byron is the host. So Carrie Byron, Tori Belleci, Grant Imahara. But anyway, they look at these different and not just events in history. There's all sorts of things there, but they'll look at a topic. I guess would be the best way to describe that. They'll take that topic. So the one that I remember are strange weapons in World War II. There's one weapon where they try to use estrogen to decapacitate Hitler. There was another episode where they looked at strange ways of robbing a bank or heist, and one involved a man who used a water tube to make his getaway through a canal that was nearby. There's some other strange topics that are also that they look into, but then what they do is they rank those. So they say, okay, in terms of World War II weapons, which one is the strangest? Is the estrogen used to kill Hitler the strangest? Or is, I think they try to use bats also as a weapon in World War II. So which one is weirder? The estrogen, the bats, or these other ones here? So that's essentially what they do. They take a interesting topic and then they try to rank which one is the most interesting or extreme in terms of whatever they're looking at. So, strangest World War II weapon, most unique getaway, all sorts of good stuff on there. Good deal of science on there too. So they do some scientific explanations of what's used to carry out these heists, like in hacking, the technology behind the World War II weapons. It's a really good show. So I that one might not be as well known, but it is really good. Check it out if you are into the strange and unusual, things that have actually happened, and science and technology. So that's the White Rabbit Project. Stars the other three MythBusters hosts: Carrie Byron, Grant Imahara, and Tori Belleci. Louis is also a good one. I really like that. Stars Louis C.K. on FX. Just sort of a introspective kind of look at the day in the life of a stand-up comedian. Louis C.K. He is very famous now. He was famous back then too, not super famous as he is now, but he did a really good job on that show, just filming his life and talking about his life and some segments where he actually does stand up, actual stand up, that's shown before and after the actual show, which is not entirely factual. There's fiction to it. There's some weirdness to it. Strange things that happen that aren't super realistic, but are possible. But yeah, that's a good one there. Louis on FX. That came out in 2010. I can't remember how long that lasted. I think it was a while though, so I'll check that there. Um, I think it was on until like 2018 or something like that. I'll check though. Oh shoot, Louis was on 2021. Listed Louis episodes. June 20th. Okay, so maybe that was wrong there. Okay, so first season first aired 2010. Fifth season last aired 2015. Okay, so I was wrong about that, but that's still a good length. I think that's an appropriate length for a show um, of that type. He did a good job of ending that when he should have there. But a really good show overall. I highly recommend that if you haven't seen it. Has a lot of good funny moments in there, and again, just to look at his life as a comedian with some fantasy peppered in there. Um, but nothing too fantastic. But a bit of that weirdness in there. Um, Space Ghost Coast to Coast is another one. Thought that was an interesting concept to take a superhero from a 1960s cartoon show and then make him the host of a talk show that he holds with a couple other characters from that show, which is really kind of funny. But it's just a standard talk show where they talk to comedians, but they do have this element to them where they mess around with whoever they're interviewing. It is a cartoon slash live action show. A lot of weirdness to that also, just kind of strange office talk humor in there, which is really good. So yeah, I guess it's just not just a straightforward talk show. It is a strange live action talk show with a host from the 1960s cartoon show Space Ghost, with a lot of office humor. And then Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law, also really good. Um, Harvey Birdman is another character from the 1960s cartoon shows. That was kind of a trend then. I do remember that being sort of a trend on Cartoon Network. The sort of whoever was making those cartoons at the time must have been nostalgic for their childhood. But I do remember a lot of revamps of like I know Boomerang exists now, but like looking at these old cartoons and like making shorts about them, but in like different settings, like either modern settings or more contemporary settings and things like, of that nature. But anyway, Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law, really good show. Stars the superhero Harvey Birdman, now working as an attorney. Has Gary Cole from Office Space in it, who does a really good job at that. But just really good, kind of similar office humor. It has some zany stuff in it too, but nothing too zany. It has a like really good balance of zaniness in there. I really like the bear that's in there, who's very, as some of the creators would describe, zen. But yeah, there's just a bear in that show that's like in the background. It's really weird. Yeah, okay. So Tom Goes to the Mayor is also another really good one, made by Tim Heidecker and Eric Wareheim. That was their first show. It is a cartoon, but it's kind of barely a cartoon because they're not actually doing hand-drawn animations, but it's still a great show. And I say it's barely a cartoon because what they do is they do like some sort of Photoshop technique on them. They film themselves in front of a green screen doing like a movements for a line. So like if someone's thinking, they do like this here, and then they film that, and then they Photoshop it into this weird blue and white kind of texture. But anyway, there is animation to the show. I guess I shouldn't say that it's not barely a cartoon there, but I guess just the part that I was thinking of was the characters are barely cartoons because they're just that Photoshop version of the characters. But I guess I should rescind that statement because there is animation in there. Nothing like super detailed, but it does have good animation in that. So I'm sorry. I apologize for that. That's a really good show. Just about this wannabe entrepreneur named Tom Peters. I think he's in his like 30s. He's living in this small town, and just a lot of his misadventures are detailed in those. And yeah, it's a really good sort of show. Sort of shows the trappings of Middle America and some of the faults of it, and sort of pokes fun at them, and has a lot of zaniness also, but a good level of that also, not too much, not too little, just the right amount. Tom Goes to the Mayor, great show, good animation, and really is a good satire of Middle America. So Tim and Eric, awesome show, great job, is another really good one. That is a live action one by Tim and Eric. So check that one out. A lot of just sketch comedy, but a bit more obscure, a bit stranger. There is animation in that also, which is really good. And I think what made that show famous was the editing that's done. Just really interesting editing techniques that create these weird visual effects. So check that out if you haven't seen it. Also really good. Tim and Eric Night Live, another good one. That is just a parody of a talk show. The two star in that as the hosts. They're just poking fun at the sort of the talk show format and how it can be sort of vapid. But they have some good ones in there. Good episodes. I like the holiday specials. Really like the Christmas one. The Valentine's Day one is really funny too. So check that out if you have not seen that. But yeah, I'm just a huge fan of Tim and Eric, so I'll move on to Bedtime Stories. That's another good show that they've made. Kind of mixes comedy and horror. It's definitely more on the comedy side of things, but has a horror sort of eeriness to it. Kind of a nightmarish quality, which is actually, I thought there were episodes of Tim and Eric Awesome Show which were scarier than what was found in Bedtime Stories. Um, and that show focused more on, again, poking fun at Middle America, poking fun at poor products, just poor design of products, and just get rich schemes, things like that, that they're sort of poking fun of there. But there is a nightmarish quality to that too. Found a lot of their public access sort of parodies in that show. Another good show by them is check it out with Steve Brule, where they focus solely on the public access format. And I think they show more of an appreciation for it there. It's more of an homage to the public access format. But also they poke fun at it a bit too with this character that first appeared on Awesome Show, Dr. Steve Brule, played by John C. Reilly. Just a character who seems to have lost his mind after hosting the show for so long. He has really strange speech patterns. He messes up his lines all the time. They show him getting depressed and eating ice cream, a copious amount of that. It's just an interesting sort of character study. But yeah, it's a really good show, and definitely check that one out too. That is Check It Out with Steve Brule. And then Cowboy Bebop is another show that I enjoy. I'm getting more into anime now here, but that is a good anime about a group of bounty hunters in space. So if you like sci-fi, definitely check that out. It is very good. It sort of mixes elements of space and westerns. So kind of similar to elements found in Star Wars, which sort of mix elements of westerns as well as samurai films into one. This one focuses more on the western part of that. So it's kind of like a Western in space, would be the best way to describe that. That's really good too. Cowboy Bebop came out in late 90s, I believe. So next other one is now sort of more on, I think it's the same studio who made this, Funimation. This is focuses more on Eastern mentality. The story is set during the Edo period in Japan when the samurais were starting to die out. Um, but yeah, the show is really good. Again, this is sort of, if you think of these two shows, Cowboy Bebop more as sort of Western in space, this is just sort of looking at the East, the Japan in the Edo period, and the story is about um, these two samurais, both of whom hate each other. And I'll have to look at the plot a bit more, but I'm just doing this from straight memory. But they have to protect this girl. They sort of have to, based out of just um, circumstance. They don't really want to do this, but they have to. I'm not gonna look up the plot for that because I just want to go by memory for this video. But check that out. That's a really good show too. Really good action sequences in both of those. Good space fights in Cowboy Bebop with the ships, as well as good hand-to-hand combat scenes. Samurai Champloo, obviously not in space, but good sword fighting scenes. That's a lot of the action that takes place, but hand-to-hand combat too. Death Note's another really good anime that I enjoyed. I that was parodied in The Simpsons recently, and I really like their parody of that. Um, and that is about a boy who finds a diary on the ground. And what happens is he finds out if he writes down a name in the diary, whoever he writes down, if he writes down the name Bob Johnson, whoever's named that will die. So that's an interesting concept. There's a demon in that who explains the diary to him and who is in that also throughout the entire series. So that's sort of an interesting concept to think about. What would you do if you had a diary like that? Would you, if you find out that someone did do an evil thing, would you kill them by writing their name down? Interesting moral question there. Hypothetical, but an interesting question. And really good animation in that also. And a good story from what I can remember too. Um, Super Mario Brothers Super Show, another really good one. I really like that the live action sequences mostly. I think the cartoon is good too. I think that's more for kids, and the live action more for adults. But I really like the live action sequences. Very funny, and it has Lou Albano and Danny Wells. Albano as Mario and Danny Wells as Luigi. Um, Aqua Teen Hunger Force is another cartoon that I like, more sort of obscure one that I found when Adult Swim was first airing back in 2000, 2001. But that's another really good one. That's been around for a while now. I don't know if they're still making episodes of that, but they did have new episodes come out recently. I think they just renamed the show a few times as they've gotten bored of the name, but same characters. Really weird. It started like this ball of meat wad, and then a milkshake, and then a Master Shake, and then a box of fries, Frylock. And these characters were first on the Space Ghost Coast to Coast show. A bit different in terms of like who they were in that show and who they are on this show. In this show, they're a group of superheroes. That was more of a focus on the earlier episodes, not so much on the later ones. Eventually, the show just turned into them just having just weird experiences with these other weird characters that would come on the show. But I really like Carl in that show. I think he's very funny. It's just this overweight neighbor of theirs, this middle aged dude. Um, so I'm trying to think of what else is in that show, but that's a really good one. Just really strange characters, weird interactions. Kind of mixes the fantastic with the mundane well. Has sort of a deadpan humor as well as zany humor. A good balance of that. Artwork is good also. Um, but yeah, that's I'm trying to think of the name. Dave Willis created that show, and I'm going to talk about him in this next one too. Dave Willis also created Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell, also on Adult Swim. That ended later on though. Aqua Hunger Force was early, I think like 2001, and then Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell. I think that came out. They had a pilot for that, which came out earlier. That didn't actually star who's currently in the show, Henry Zabrowski. But the pilot is interesting also. I really like the pilot for that. But I'm just trying to see when that came out. I think it was 2013 when that first aired, and I think they're still making new episodes of that. 4 seasons. Okay, so yeah, first air date 2013. Pilot was 2011. And there are 4 seasons right now, and the last episode was on June 14th of 2019. So I do think they did an animated series later on also. That's not officially the show, but check that out. I think that's, or check that rather, that is on YouTube also. So, yep, that's it for now. Thank you for listening. Those are just the TV shows that I, excuse me, have watched and enjoyed. Thanks again for watching. Feel free to leave a comment if you wish. Feel free to like and subscribe if you wish. Um, my name is Stephen Lancaster. Thanks again, and I hope you have a good rest of the day.